think that was you and not me. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Wednesday, May 11th, 2016.
Commissioner Davis, Rodriguez, James, and Jacinto are present. President James, we have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, it's Michael Patnay, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Hannah Choi, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Art Martinez, Street Services.
Good morning, Robert Potter, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment, nor any of the regular items.
Okay, then we'll go ahead and close general public comment. Let's go ahead and take care of our assessment hearings this morning from the Bureau of Street Lighting for council districts. This is agenda item numbers 2 through 9, assessment hearings for council districts 12, 15, 10, 14, 7, 5, and 11. Ruben.
Good morning, Ruben Flamenco, Bureau of Street Lighting. Items 2 to 9 pertain to lighting districts, which we are creating in conjunction with private development projects. Ballots for items 2 to 9 were mailed on March 31st, 2016. Ballots must be received by the City Clerk's office by next Wednesday, May 18th. We have not received any objections to date on items 2 to 9. We are requesting for the board to adopt and forward items 2 to 9 forthwith to City Council.
Okay, any questions regarding 2 through 9? There were no objections. Commissioner Rodriguez has made a motion to approve, seconded by Commissioner Jacinto. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda items 2 through 9. Any problems sending those forthwith? We'll send those forthwith. Our first item of business beyond that is the approval of the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, April 22nd, 2016. Is there a second to my motion that we approve those meeting minutes by Commissioner Rodriguez? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 1, the presentation of certificates to Angelina Wallner and Katerina Grosselsti, and we have someone. I'm sorry. Oh, let's go ahead and do the bids. Yeah, I think. Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. Let's go ahead and take care of the bids since we have a number of bidders here in the room. Agenda item number 1. The announcement of bids for the MyFig project, Figueroa Corridor Streetscape Improvements, 11th Street and Figueroa Street. The estimate is $12,146,126. Council Districts 9 and 14. Mr. Campos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The bids to be open today, again, is for the MyFig project, Figueroa Corridor Streetscape Improvement between 11th Street and Figueroa Street. The city engineer has estimated this project to be at $12,146,126. Again, this is in Council District 9 and 14. The first bid received for this project is from Environmental Construction Incorporated for a total bid amount of $12,745,538 even. That's 12745,538 from Environmental Construction Incorporated. For the record, line item 4, line item 5, line item 36 has been striked out by the contractor but has also been initialed. The second bid received for this project is from Palp Incorporated, doing business as Excel Paving Company, for a total bid amount of $13,847,850 even. That's 13847,850 from Palp Incorporated, doing business as Excel Paving Company. The third bid received for this project is from Sully Miller Contracting Company for a total bid of $13,458,000 even. That's 13458,000 from Sully Miller Contracting Company. The fourth bid received for this project is from Griffith Company for a total bid amount of $11,994,000 even. That's 11994,000 from Griffith Company. For the record, line item 6, line item 35 has been stricken out by the contractor but has been initialed. The fifth bid received for this project is from CS, that's Charlie Sam Legacy Construction Incorporated, for a total bid amount of $12,639,906 even. That's 12639,906 from CS Legacy Construction Incorporated. The sixth bid received is from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dyna Electric, for a total bid amount of $14,788,802 even. That's 14788,802 from KDC Incorporated, doing business as Dyna Electric. For the record, line item 7, line item 10, line item 11, line item 37, line item 42, line item 43, and the total bid amount have been stricken out but have been initialed by the contractor. The seventh and final bid received for this project is from All American Asphalt for a total bid amount of $11,806,000 even. That's 11806,000 from All American Asphalt. For the record, line items 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 48, and 50 have been stricken out by the contractors but has been initialed. President James, that concludes the bid opening for this project.
Thank you, Mr. Campos. Is there a second to my motion that we receive the bids? Seconded by Commissioner Rodriguez. We'll receive the bids forthwith. Thank you, sir. Without objection. Now we'll go to a couple of presentations that we have this morning for Katerina and Angelina, our student interns from Germany. Mr. Campos, who's going to be doing the presentation?
I will be doing the presentation, and also Liz Scarzette from City Plants. So Liz, if you want to go first.
Hello.
Good morning. Hello. Well, unfortunately, Angelina missed her commuter bus. She's been taking the last week, enjoying Southern California and all LA has to offer. And from the look of her Facebook feed, she's having a great time. But she unfortunately missed the bus from Newport Beach this morning at 6:30 and couldn't make it. And apparently Uber costs $120, in case anyone was wondering. And after going to Disneyland, she can't afford it. So we're going to be giving the presentation, and why don't we just go ahead and give it to, do we have the Fernando does. Well, would you like to stand in? Okay. All right. So Angelina was absolutely instrumental for our success this spring season. I don't know how many of you know this, but we've had the busiest and most successful spring planting season that we've ever had for tree planting in LA. We've had 4 huge events going down the Vermont corridor with hundreds of volunteers, and we've had several small park planting events as well. And I'm not sure we would have made it without Angelina. She just jumped in with both feet, and her command of English is excellent. She wasn't shy about it. She just went for it. She actually answered phones in a foreign language. So she took over our phone lines, she talked to constituents, she handled their problems, and then she actually went out with the team and canvassed door to door down the Vermont corridor and let people know that trees were coming and gave them the option not to have one, and was able to actually explain this to people in a foreign language, which is truly blows me away. And she always had the most wonderful attitude. When we would give her an assignment, please go find me a list of XYZ, it would be done in hours. It was just wonderful. So, her reading and her writing are excellent. We're going to really miss her. If we could hire her, we would. But since she's not here to receive the award, we will just go ahead and give it.
Good morning, Commissioners. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. I am very pleased today to stand before you to recognize the good work that Katarina Grosselste did for us for the Board of Public Works. She was an intern assigned to our Board Secretariat office and also assisted our Commissioner Davis on a couple of presentations that he had throughout the last couple of months. So I remember Katarina when she first came in, she was a little scared with the language. However, I think she has mastered the English language, although she would probably disagree with me, but I think she does an excellent job. The first week being here, one of the assignments was that she needed to help us with our backlog of our record retention schedules and management. So as many of you are aware, as you go through the corridors of our offices, we have boxes filled of documents, and then we also have our mezzanine filled, and then we also have a storage space. So one of her assignments is to help us declutter some of our office space in preparation of new staffers that we were planning to onboard at that time. We have now onboarded 2 new staffers, and without the help of Katarina, we would not be able to unclutter those office spaces that we had boxes filled. So she came in the first week, and literally within hours, again, hours for us, she decluttered everything for us, something that we had not been able to do for many times, and not because we couldn't do it, it's because some of our work was so demanding that we just keep going. And you will hear in today's agenda, there's an item for a presentation on agenda setting. You'll hear some of those challenges that we face behind the closed doors that our commission and also our bureau representatives sometimes are not even aware that's happening in the background. And we make it so seamless and so without interruption so that you can conduct your business in a efficient, effective manner. So I am pleased to stand before you to recognize Katarina for all her good work. She was given 3 assignments, one to assist our Commissioner Davis with some of his work that he's been doing out in the field, also helping us on our record retention, and then also helping us document the as-is for our agenda setting process. So again, Katarina, thank you so much for all you did for us. Again, I would hire you in a heartbeat if I could. In fact, I even offered, would you like to stay here in the States and we'll figure out something. She is definitely, she fit into the team since day one. There's folks in the room also today that would probably say the same thing about Katarina, so I'm very pleased to have met you, very pleased to have the opportunity to do the internship for you. And I'm also a professor, so some of my internship with Katarina was that I was bringing the practicum experience, the hands-on experience into the academic world. So I always converted the practice into theory and then theory into practice, so she can tell you all about that. So I had many lectures with her about how what she's doing actually fits into the academic sense, but at the same time, the practical sense, getting things done at the end of the road. So this was a learning experience not only for me, but also for her, and that's the whole point of these internships, is to grow the next generation of students into public administration, to light that candle in terms of passion and dedication to public service. And that's something that I did as a mentor to Katarina. And so she did an excellent job receiving that information, and we always connected the academic side and the practitioner side. So with that said, I'm pleased to present this certificate of appreciation to Katarina Grosselste.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Board of Public Works. My name is Katarina Grosselste. I'm an administrative intern at the Board of Public Works at the Board Secretariat. I come from Germany, and I study public administration at the University of Applied Science, the University of Public Administration in Kiel, Germany. Like Fernando already said, I assisted in several areas at the Board of Public Works, mainly at the Board Secretariat. I assisted Commissioner Mike Davis by preparing for a presentation, and he showed me how to do a memo draft. I also assisted Terry Schmidt to manage records, and I had a tour at the Records Retention Center. And last but not least, I assisted Fernando Campos, the executive officer, by automating and streamlining the agenda process, as well as by testing a new program named Novus. Later that meeting, Mr. Campos and I are going to have a presentation about agenda setting and streamlining opportunities and the new program Novus. I want to thank you, Commissioner, and the Board of Public Works, as well as the City of Los Angeles for this internship. I also want to thank Fernando for being my supervisor, and that I learned so much from you. A big thank you to Terry Schmidt, who was our contact person and did the whole work for getting our visa and the internship. And I also want to thank the ladies from the Board Secretariat and the front office, because I had such a good time in this office and we had so much fun. I learned also a lot about the Board of Public Works, the City of Los Angeles, the government, as well as the culture and the life in the United States. Thank you to you all. I had a really, really good time here, and I'm really gonna miss this. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez?
Katerina, I just want to say, first of all, thank you so much for your service, but more importantly, how unique of an opportunity you've had to learn from some of the best in the city. And I mean that from, looking at Terry and our board secretariat, and also Fernando. I'm very much looking forward to your presentation, because I think what you help to also bring is this kind of new vigor and enthusiasm to how we need to refine our process so that we can operate more efficiently as a city. And so I'm very much looking forward to your presentation. But you've had the good fortune of being the apprentice to some really great role models here in our department, in the Board of Public Works. And so congratulations. Take what you've learned and apply it to whatever the next opportunity is in your life. I think clearly you've earned some respect, and I have to say that it doesn't come easy. So it's a reflection of your work, and so congratulations, and thank you so much for your time here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Davis?
Okay. Katerina, it was certainly a privilege and a pleasure for me to have an opportunity to work with you and really to talk about organizational communications. And we were able to implement an inter-office memo and talk about how critical these inter-office memos are as a form of communication between those of us who work in government. And it was a pleasure for me to have you to help prepare that, but also to talk about policy. And we only talked about one policy, which was this issue and this challenge of inclusion, and how we have a vision of trying to create a government that is inclusive of various communities in our city. And so I was able to have the discussion with you about how it's not easy to achieve this because of the various laws at both the state and often the local levels. And you were very, very quick to learn those challenges, and I really appreciate and enjoyed working with you. And I think finally, public administration in Germany is so similar in many ways in some of the core values of public service here as well. So I learned a lot in terms of what you have been able to experience in Germany, as well as I hope that some of the things that we did, even though they were very few, hopefully they were valuable to increasing your awareness as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Katerina, congratulations on your applied experience with our city. I want to thank Executive Officer Campos, Board Secretariat, and Commissioner Davis for working with you, for giving you the opportunity and the chance to shine. your applied knowledge, and I think you've undergone a transformation in this short time. You will have forever be shaped by your experience in Los Angeles, and no doubt you carry this wherever you go on your career, whether it be in public administration, wherever that you go. But thank you for spending time in our City of Angels and for contributing so much to our department and our board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There's really not much else for me to say, it seems. Congratulations. Thank you for your service. From just my awareness of your presence in the office, as both Commissioner Rodriguez and Davis said, you brought a new level of energy that we're going to hear about in just a few minutes, which is really important for a large organization like a city government to hear and to understand, because it can be very difficult for large organizations like ours to change. And perhaps some of the best ways to change is to hear from a younger generation of what benefits that change can bring to the organization. So I look forward to hearing it, and thank you for all of your work and your energy and your very pleasant and warm attitude towards your job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Campos, you have something else?
Just one last thing to Katarina. I've been practicing this, so my apologies if I don't say it correctly. Viel Glück in Eheri Zukunft, Katarina. Basically, good luck in your future endeavors. And I would like to end with that. Thank you.
Well, that says a lot. So, Fernando, why don't we do this? Why don't we go ahead and take the oral report, then we will do the photograph, and then we can take our voting item up. Okay? So, agenda item number 10 or 11, 11, oral report, agenda setting and streamlining opportunities by Fernando and Katarina. Go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. As we presented in our presentations to Katarina and I have been working on, along with the Board Secretariat Office, on ways that we can streamline our agenda setting process. So this is something that happens automatic to you, sometimes seamless in many cases, and at least that's our goal, to make it as easy as possible for you as commissioners and our Bureau representatives to have the information as quickly as possible. So when we were looking at this project, next slide please, when we were looking at this project, it was really an explorative type of project where we were looking at trying to find solutions on agenda setting and how we can improve those processes. So we were looking at automating, streamlining the process. We were looking at leveraging best available technology, what technology out there in the 21st century exists that we can actually leverage. One of the interesting parts when I first started my tenure here with the board is that we were still using an old version of word processing. I think it was 97 or 2000 time period. And so I said, why aren't we using the latest and greatest technology, and why can't we do this? So quickly, with the help of my assistant Terry Schmidt and also Truman Brown in our systems group, they said, Fernando, we can do this. As long as you tell us, we can do it. So I said, absolutely, you have your marching orders, go out there and start deploying these systems. So I believe that there was an opportunity for us to leverage that technology out there and explore what's out there. And so we have found something, and we'd like to share that with you as well. We wanted to increase our efficiencies in service delivery, but at the same time, we wanted to reduce delays. We wanted to make things as easy as possible again and allow our staff to work smarter and not harder. Next slide, please. So Katarina was going to talk to you briefly about the research methodology of what we did to go through this project, and then also provide the process, the as-is process flow, or the current status that we're currently doing.
Good morning, Commissioner, again, and good morning, Board of Public Works. My name is Katarina Kos-Elster, and I'm a German administrative intern at the Board Secretariat. How you can see, this is the 7-step research methodology. First, I had 30 to 50 days for the 2 steps, for 1 step and step 2, the collecting, observing, and documentation. After this, we made a current flowchart about the whole agenda process, which you can see on the next slide. The 7-step research methodology also includes our findings, the recommendation, the new flow, and the schedule. Next slide, please. Yes. Now I'm coming to the current flow. On the slide you can see the whole agenda process. There are 9 major steps, beginning at step 1 with the board receives the potential items and ends with step 9, the journal posting and the report distribution. We have to do these 9 steps with all the sub-items in 7 days, only for one agenda. So we have 3 meetings a week, and we need for every meeting an agenda, we have to do 3 agendas per week. When we have a supplemental or special agenda, we do to have the whole steps in a short time. So, for example, for me, I had to do a supplemental agenda for a Monday's meeting after a Friday's meeting, so I only had 5 to 6 hours for the whole 9 steps. Next slide. Yes. Now that we know the current flow, the next step in the research methodology is our 10 research findings, which I had after 2 months of observing employees. First of all, like you saw on the last slide, it's a complex system with a lot of steps. Another finding is that we have 4 different places to post the agenda. The multiple communication distribution methods are showing us that there is no constant way to do the whole agenda process. The next finding is a limited cross-train staff or multiple function. We have to work on it, but the executive officer also have concerned action plan already. The server is hosted by the Bureau of Engineering, not at the board secretariat. So when the server goes down, we don't have any control over it. The various hard copy distribution layered with soft email distribution, we should only have one method, and we are preferring the electronical way in the future. Another finding is the incomplete board packets. We had a lot of difficulties and also have to spend a lot of time for copies. Also, the unclear recommendations. We have to ask Mr. Campos how we should agendize the board report. The next finding, the report errors and unclear instructions are close to the last finding. And last but not least, one hyperlink per agenda means that when we have an advisement or a continued item, the link which was at the agenda document doesn't work for the supplemental anymore. So we have to re-upload the board report again. And now I have Fernando talk about a new vision.
So, Commissioners, one thing that's the big takeaway is that there's a lot of things happening at a very fast pace in a very short amount of time, and this is for every meeting that you come in here in this room, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And I would be
That was a very
remiss.
good summary of the scope.
Excellent summary.
And the context.
Excellent summary. And now that we know what the current process is and it's documented, now the next step for us is really where do we go from here? What's the next steps from here? But before I do that, I would be remiss not to compliment and also give a shout out and kudos to our board secretariat staff, because all these years they've been doing it, and they do it in such an effective, excellent manner that they have overcome a lot of challenges and limitations with the technology that they currently have, yet they still do an excellent job. And so for that, I give them kudos if they're listening to me. Thank you, staff, for all you do. The next step for us is looking at where do we go from here. So the idea is that we want to leverage best available technology, and we found a system called the Novus Agenda System, which is what the Office of the City Clerk currently uses. And we look at them, since our board secretariat operates like a little mini city clerk's office, we reached out to them and we look up to them as kind of our parent to say, what do you do? What are the best practices? You manage this for the entire city. What can we learn from you and implement that in the board secretariat office in our Board of Public Works? So the idea was that we scouted and we demoed a couple of software packages out there that could possibly help us fit this need. We found that the Novus agenda was really what we really needed to do at a very, very low cost because there's already a contract in place, and we can piggyback onto these services at a very, very minimal cost to us. So therefore, we are moving into the transition into the Novus agenda. We have started that transition back in December, and we think that we will get there by June of this year. The process will be rolled out in 4 different phases, and rather than going through all the phases one by one, the one that you will start noticing immediately, and you may have already started noticing, is the agenda development process. So you have probably started noticing that the agenda is changing in terms of the look, the feel, possibly less errors, and that's the goal for us in those agendas. So we have started that process since March, and we are going to continue that process up and through September. So coming July, you will now have a new face of the agenda that I will show you in the next few new slides. After that, we do the rollout. We will be planning to cross-train our bureaus and also our offices within the Department of Public Works so that everyone understands what this new process looks like and what their roles and responsibilities are at a certain period of time. We will also expand the opportunity to do a self-service feature where bureaus themselves would be able to tell us when the agenda items are coming down the pipeline. So for example, if a commissioner needed to know what's happening next month, we can go onto the system and pull up a report to say, here are all the items that are currently in the pipeline. We would like to make sure that the bureaus have control of that and not the board secretariat, because we act as the middle person. We really want the bureaus to take ownership and also some accountability in terms of when these items are coming down the pipeline. We have the opportunity to future sense and also future agendize these items up to a whole year in advance. So if staff wanted to agendize something 2-3 months down the road, they can go ahead and plug it into the system, and it's basically in the pipeline. Next slide, please. So prior to March 2016, this is kind of what your agenda looked like in a snapshot. So the left-hand side is really the cover sheet. The right-hand side is the actual items. What you notice is that we have the word being wrapped. It's not justified. It's not centered. In addition to that, what you notice is that we'll have the agenda items by numeric order by the bureau. So for example, in this case, it'll be number 1 BOS for item number 4 on the agenda. As of April 2016, next slide, please. What you started seeing is a slight change. For example, in the cover sheet, you now have the word agenda. So surprisingly, this has never happened in the past. And this is an official agenda document that goes out to the general public. So now we are adding the word agenda. We're also justifying the agenda item. So therefore, when staff is typing, they can type and just justify it or center it, and it'll be fine. Before, it had to be wrapped, and so there was a lot of stop and go, entering, and it was complex. Now we're making it a little bit easier for staff to actually write the agendas for us. Coming in July, what you will notice, next slide please, is that we will turn more like a city clerk's office agenda. So you will start seeing the logo of the City of LA, you'll start seeing very clear letters, this is the agenda, who is the agenda for the Board of Public Works, and more importantly, we're going to continue the block type of writing, and we're going to introduce 2 new features. One, we are going to be able to filter out the items by bureaus, for example, Bureau of Engineering, Bureau of Sanitation, Contract Administration, or joint reports, and we can lump those into one bucket so that staffers know, or when bureaus come to the board, they know I'm items 2 through 7 as opposed to 2, 7, 10, 11, so we're going to keep them all together. In addition to that, we are looking at introducing a numeration system so that we can start tracking these agenda items or motions. Currently, we track those by the board date and the number in which the report is being submitted by the bureaus. So for example, if it's today's date, agenda item number 1, Bureau of Sanitation. If they have a second report, it'll be number 2, BOS. And so that becomes a lot more difficult for us to do search engines to find out when did you go to board, what was the matter about. So if we have a unique identifier, very similar to the council file index system that City Clerk uses, this is something that we will be starting to use in the future starting July 1st forward. Next slide, please.
Fernando, can I just
Yes.
interrupt you for a second? This is fantastic. And I've seen the noticeable difference already in the agendas since you started to deploy some of these transitions, but it just makes sense.
Right.
And I just want to say thank you because it looks terrific, and I'm just excited to see the progress. But it just goes to show you that when we kind of not operate in a silo, and reach out to some of the other members of our city family that we can actually identify a simpler and more efficient way of approaching our work. And I just want to thank everybody for being adaptive to it and being willing to kind of work collaboratively in this process, because this is a noticeable difference, and I've seen it already, and
this is the cosmetic side, so it's like the facelift.
It's the
It's a
facelift.
fresh look,
We're really into
for our
facelifts.
agendas,
I
right?
like it.
We really are. We're in the city of Los Angeles, so we're definitely about that. The other fun feature for me is that we could go into an e-distribution model, so we can start sending e-packets. So instead of doing hard copies, we would be able to just send the link, and folks can go ahead and start seeing it on their iPad. I know, Ruben, I see your iPad there, so you can bring that up electronically.
And we noticed that.
So we're getting away from the paper-based area, and I know Commissioner Repenning's not here today, but that she is a big fan of paperless. So this is something that we're working for and towards, so we'll start seeing that in the near future. Next slide. So Katarina is just going to talk to you about some of the areas that we're going to streamline in the process really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yes, the proposed new process flow shows us 7 steps in 7 days instead of 9 steps with less sub-items. The green parts of the flow are the parts that changed from the current flow. Step 1 changed: the bureaus put their board reports in Novus and make their items and push them to the agenda, so the board secretariat don't have to do this anymore. The next step after this, the board secretariat only prints the draft agenda, and it goes on with the agenda setting and review. Finalizing the agenda is the same like in the current flow. We hope for the future that we can post the agenda in one place and it will be mirrored at the other side, so we don't have to post it in 4 different places. We also want the distribution with the e-packets, like Fernando already said, that we don't need that much paper anymore. And the last 2 steps are the same like in the current flow. And now I have Mr. Campos talk about the next step of the agenda setting.
Just the first line sounds exciting. Novus agenda.
So we're launching the Novus agenda. These are our next steps. Of course, we're going to implement the findings and address all those findings. But for us, really creating a fresh new look, giving that numeration system, making sure that we are posting in one area and having it mirrored in 4 different places as opposed to doing it 4 different times. And of course, we're going to train employees throughout the entire department. So this is something that you'll start seeing within the next couple of months. We are rolling that out. And with that, I will end the presentation. And then if you have any questions or comments, we would love to hear from you. Thank you again, Katarina, for all your hard work. And thank you all to the Board Secretariat offices for being supportive and being willing to make that change for us in the future.
Fernando, we don't have to vote on this item. What I'd like to do is move the BOE item because of our numbers here and for the voting item and take questions on this after.
That's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Let's go to agenda item number 10. Bureau of Engineering for Council District 11, recommending the board authorize to increase the budget contingency by $344,087 and approve a revised construction budget of $3,076,487 for the project, and authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 10 to Keywood Infrastructure West Company for the Hyperion Treatment Plant Intermediate Pumping Station Screw Pumps Installation and Upgrades Project to cover extended overhead and escalation costs due to El Nino construction delays. Mr. Zahedi.
Good morning, Sean Zahedi, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. Mr. President, this is a request to issue change order number 10 and increase the construction contingency for the Hyperion Treatment Plant IPS screw pump installation and upgrade project. On June 12th of 2015, your board awarded a contract to Keywood for an amount of $2,484,000 with a 10% contingency of $248,000 for a total construction cost of $2,732,400. to construct this project. Essentially, the project removes and recycles 6 screw pumps, installs 6 new screw pumps, and also installs 10 grease lubrication systems, and installs condition sensors for all of our 10 screw pumps. Last year, at the beginning of the wet weather season, Bureau of Sanitation...
Mr. Zahedi, can I stop you right there for 1 second?
Sure.
I just wanted to introduce, there's a group that walked in behind you, and I might tell them a little bit about what we're doing. This is from the Palms Middle School, correct? Mr. Gold, hey, hi there. This is Ms. Primus's class? Oh, hi there. And Mr. Goldstein, welcome, sir. And the younger Mr. Goldstein. Oh, hey, Eli, how are you, sir? So welcome in. We are, they may have told you, this is the Board of Public Works. And we oversee the Department of Public Works, which includes the Bureau of Sanitation, the Bureau of Street Services, the Bureau of Contract Administration, the Bureau of Engineering, and street lighting. So it's much of the city's infrastructure, obviously a significant portion of the city's infrastructure. We meet in this room, this spectacular room, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning at 10 a.m. We have a public hearing, and people bid on contracts. This morning before you arrived, we had a contract award process, where we opened the bids. So we had 7 different companies that bid on a $12 million project to work on Figueroa Street, just down the road in downtown Los Angeles. And we opened all the bids, and there was a bidding competition that takes place. So we do that in public so that the whole bidding process is very transparent. The purpose of our board is transparency and oversight. And the board has been in place since 1906, has met continuously since then, with the exception of our annual holiday recess. And there are 5 members of the commission. We're all appointed by the mayor. 2 of our commissioners, one of them just stepped away on other city business. Then the 3 of us are here with our bureau representatives. We're appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council to essentially 4-year terms that are renewable. And I know you all are from a leadership class, correct? Okay, and what grades do we have? Is this a middle school, so 6, 7, 8? Okay, great. How many 6th graders? Oh, how many 7th graders? How many 8th graders? Great. Well, welcome. And what we're doing right now, this is a representative from our Bureau of Engineering, and there's a project in Council District 11, which is not far from the Palms area. The Palms area is Council District 5. Am I right about that, Mr. Goldstein? CD5. There may be a little bit of a break, but some of Palms might actually be in CD11. But it's between 11 and 5. Commissioner Jacinto is the board liaison for both of those council districts, quite coincidentally, perhaps. And we are hearing from the Bureau of Engineering on a project that's going on there. Commissioner Jacinto, you want to share with them what we're doing here?
Yes,
and
a
then
shout
we'll continue?
out. President James, thank you. I used to, when I was a student at UCLA, I used to live right across the street from Palms Junior High, so go Palms Junior High. But this is a great experience. Want to welcome you as well, and to, basically what you're going to see is us voting on a very important issue with our Hyperion, correct, Sean? At Hyperion, which is our treatment plant that's over there at Playa del Rey, and something very important for our city. So thank you. Welcome, Palms Junior High.
And what happened was, because of you all heard about El Nino, right? Okay, so there were some issues regarding El Nino, and the city, of course, had to prepare for El Nino. And one of the things that we had to do with El Nino, because we were preparing for El Nino, it caused us to slow down some of our operations because we can't conduct them in a high wet weather season. And when you have to do that, sometimes it results in the process of changing the existing work order that you work under, because time deadlines and things like that have changed. And so that has resulted in what we call a change order, to change the work order under which we're working. And that's what Mr. Zahedi from the Bureau of Engineering is presenting to us for approval. So Sean, welcome, guys. Have a great time today. Welcome to City Hall. And we're gonna get back to business as usual. Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
Okay. So at the beginning of the wet season last year, Bureau of Sanitation requested that construction work on this and 4 other projects at the treatment plants be postponed until April 15th due to El Nino concerns. Bureau of Sanitation felt that they needed their equipment to operate at their full capacity during the wet weather season, and so postponement of the construction activity essentially served as an insurance premium against any mishaps or any loss of equipment during the El Nino event, which would have resulted in possible spills and or overflows. So the work on this project was postponed, and the actual project start was June of 15 and was expected to last until September of 2016. To date, 2 of the pumps have been replaced, and 4 of them have not been replaced. So in order to compensate the contractor for the extended overhead and the escalation and the fact that they needed to demobilize and remobilize, we had to issue change order number 10. We started with a price of $300,000 for this change order and negotiated down to $188,000. Currently, the project is at 30% completion, and we're anticipating that the total change orders for this project are going to exceed the amount of contingency that we have available, which is $248,000. Therefore, BOE and BOS recommend that an additional contingency of $344,087 be approved for this project to pay for these change orders, and also have about $112,000 in reserve for any unforeseen things during the remainder of construction on this project. We got the funding approval from Program Review Committee, and staff recommends authorization of these requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President Chase. I just wanted to compliment you on your leadership for recognizing young people when they come in. You're great about that, and these periods, whether they're a few 5 minutes, they can be transformative for young people. So we never know if there's going to be the next public works director.
Oh, there might be one or two
commissioner in there too. So I do appreciate that. Sean, I just wanted for the record understand that sort of the change order is almost like an insurance policy, correct?
Correct.
And we're having.
In this instance,
we're having to pay more so that we have the security for redundancy, that we're not taken offline, that we can't handle something in a disastrous or an El Nino situation, so that it's justified. Correct?
That's correct, sir.
Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Anything, Commissioner Davis? Okay. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt, seconded by Commissioner Davis. There is no objection. We'll adopt agenda item number 10. Any problem sending it forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Campos, along with Katerina, so any questions on, let's go back to our oral report. Any questions on the oral presentation? Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you.
Katerina, you can come on up.
Right. Excellent job. It's just great being new to the board and seeing the agendas. I understand there's a lot of processes, a lot of steps. I had a question, that we went from 9 to 7 steps, Katerina. I wonder, is there been sort of an analysis of the efficiency that we are going to achieve? Is there an impact on human resource on time or staff time? Is that quantifiable?
Yeah, I can take a stab at that, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. So Catarina, one of the things that we did not highlight in the presentation is that Catarina has actually been testing this new system, the Novus Agenda system, while our regular staffer that prepares the agenda does it on the regular process that you have in front of you. So we're actually testing it now and we're quantifying the results. What the goal is that we believe that we will save about 50% of staff time by doing it this way, and then we're also going to be able to move some of this function down to the bureaus so that they can have more control of the agenda setting process, and then we would be more of the reviewer and making sure that we're finalizing this. So to answer your question, Commissioner, we don't have the exact number, but we believe that it's going to be about a 50% savings in terms of typing and manual processing. So we are testing it now, we're comparing it now, we're doing a parallel test. We will have those results by June 30th.
My request is it's not really a question as much as it is a request. First of all, I think it's terrific. Thank you. Mr. Campos had given me a little foreshadowing of it, so I was excited to hear about it. And I see Ms. Schmidt's approval in the audience. I did want to request, though, Fernando, perhaps after it has been tested in the real process, in the real world, shall we say, that you come back. I know that Catarina may be a few thousand miles away, perhaps, but if you're in the area, you could come back and at least, Mr. Campos, provide an update on what you see as having worked, what could work better, other opportunities for further improvement, things like that. Just it's such a great step, but I hear from you, when you talk about facelift to a certain degree, it's an initial step, but I think it's going to be terrific, and just an update in a few months would be wonderful.
We'll be happy to do this.
Great. Thank you. Anything else, colleagues?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I agree with all of my colleagues how this was a great study. 3 observations. One is that this was really a lesson, particularly for Karina, in how a public works transaction becomes a board item. It allows you to see how we initiate that transaction and go through a process to get it to us as commissioners to be voted on. The second one is that it is really a lesson in the power of collaboration, which in public works, public administration rather, it is a tool that we have asked governments to get more involved in, collaborating with each other, because from that experience and that networking comes greater and more efficient and effective ideas. And so through collaborating with the city clerk's office, we were able to achieve that result. And finally, in looking at that result, it is truly more efficient and effective for both internally, those of us who are staff in the city, as well as externally for those stakeholders who use our system. Everybody now is able to understand how our policy works in one language. And so therefore, we have both the same system in the City Council as we have in the Board of Public Works. And so for those who are stakeholders who are doing business with the city, they have a familiar process and procedure about how policy is developed that is consistent. And so that is the beauty of collaboration, and those are my observations, and it was a great report.
Wonderful, thank you. With that, Mr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Then we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Catarina. We can have a photograph with our commissioners and Terry and Catarina and Fernando. Thank you, everyone. We're adjourned.